Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Now obviously I'm looking at a product that's already unboxed. We get asked every day on the sales floor to help with questions associated with or to help with setting up a turntable. And some of the basic unboxing you will see obviously with the brand new X2B unboxing video just here. Now that it's unboxed, it's time to share how best we set it up. Now, like anything that has a little bit of weight to it, things are sort of disassembled, or at least not fully assembled, to ensure that they arrive with you in one piece. You could ill afford to have over the delicate bearing something as massive as some of these acrylic platters wobbling around in freight. And so obviously it's packed in the bottom of the package, along with the feet and other things, which I have pre-assembled just to make sure that this is easy to film. So the next step when you've got all these sort of things mapped out is to have a bit of a stock take. A felt mat, a platter, a counterweight, the anti-skate weight, and then a brass pin associated with its location, and then a belt. Now the very first thing when you see a product like this is to fit the belt. It's a very straightforward process, and please just, for me, make sure that the Pro-Ject logo is upright and it loops over obviously the pulley of the motor and then the central pulley wheel. Once in place, just give it a slow sort of mechanical wind to ensure that it sits easily and of course removes any twists or other things like that with it. The second thing is to add the platter. Now very carefully, and the fact that this is semi-see-through means locating that central bearing is very straightforward, and then the felt mat. Now once that's in place, the very thing I recommend at this point, because how much easier it is, and again hang around with some photographs, we always take close-ups, so please this will be pretty straightforward, is to put the central locator pin in for the anti-skate weight. Now depending on how big the loop of little fishing line is, you may choose to fit that first. I'm going to cheat and do exactly that and thread it through. Just makes it a little bit easier. Anytime you're using the anti-skate weight, do it with good light, and it just makes the process a little bit easier because it's slightly tapered towards the arm end and the back. Attaching that's pretty straightforward. It simply screws into a pre-tapped hole in the back of the arm. You can actually see it slipped off the back by now. Screw it in carefully and then just tip it off to one side over the other brass holder. Now as far as setup goes, it should always be in the middle groove. There are three. So put it across the middle groove, again hang around for the photographs, and then hang it over this extension part. And all it is doing is adding a little bit of gravitational tug to the arm to ensure that it tracks perfectly through the record. The next is to rudimentarily fit the anti-skate, the counterweight. Now it's just a process of clipping it in. Now I like to pause at this point and actually put on the lid. It's unnecessary, but it's just one of those things I like to do. Okay, because it just starts looking like a turntable at this point. Okay, and hinging it out of the way is pretty straightforward. Then there's some basic disassembly. There is some tape to hold the cartridge cover on, and that can easily be removed, and it takes with it the protective little slide. Now that piece of plastic should probably sit in a drawer somewhere. I don't recommend that it's slid on and off every time you use the record player I should say. But if you're going to clean it or something like that and potentially damage the stylus, then that's when you put the protector back on. The second thing you need to do is remove this red twist tie. It's actually got a lovely little soft covering on it to stop it from scratching anything, and that means that the arm is now free and clear to be moved around. Now at this point the arm you can manually move at any point. And you can start utilising the raising and lowering element of it, which is oil dampen, and it's a pretty cool way of doing things. The next step, I'll just spin this round so we can all see. The next step is to balance the arm. Now that's done by putting it in a neutral location between the platter and the holder and sort of letting it drop. When you twist this counterweight backwards to a certain point, the arm will start to raise. Now that's where it's got essentially negative tracking, if we wanted to put it that way. What we want to do is find a balance point first, and that's where the arm neither raises nor lowers, and it gets a 0 point. And it's a delicate process. Don't take it too seriously, but it is important that you take your time. Jill, just remove the anti-skate weight off it for a second. It makes the process easier. And we've got ourselves a pretty neutral balance point. Now at this part, that's when you take this inner ring, again hang around for the close-ups, and you spin it around until the 0 is lined up with the white painted part of the arm itself. There's a little groove etched in it, and it's clearly white, and you line up the 0 with that. Now most of the time the tracking forces of moving coil cartridges are somewhere between 1.8 and 2.2 grams, but please check. I'm going to set it like it's 2 grams, although please I'll read the manual and it could be a little bit lighter or it could be a little bit heavier. But for this process I'm going to set it at 2. At this point, once it's neutral and we've set it to 0, you carefully wind this through and you will see that the indicator and the weight move together. And then you turn it around until the 20 or 2 grams is sitting lined up with the white line. Now at this point the arm will drop, but not like a mousetrap or something very, very dynamic. It's just a soft little weight, and that is the tracking force you will want. Now if it's 1.8, then obviously somewhere between 1.5 and 2 is required, and if it's 2.2 or 2.4, well again you're just going to wind it up a little bit. And at this point we've set the basics of its tracking force. Now I'm going to cheat and just check it with one of these digital scales by Pro-Ject. They come readily available, they're not expensive, and even if you use it twice a year, the fact that it gets down to 4 decimal places is probably pretty important. So please, I'd always recommend one of those. Now at this point, I'm just going to verify the measurement. Now with turntables you've got to sort of understand that there isn't a significantly right and a significantly wrong way of doing things, as long as you're within the parameters of what manufacturers recommend. And so if it's a little bit out, don't stress. Try and get it as close as you can, and maybe fiddle with it a little bit, but don't stress about getting it that 4 decimal place accuracy. Nevertheless, we just want to quickly tear that to 0 and place the stylus over the black dot to give us our weight. We're actually hitting pretty heavy at about 2.6, but it's a good way of verifying it, and with that back it back until we're sitting neatly at that 2 gram mark. Okay? So again, proven the value of having one of these digital scales. So once the cartridge is set from a tracking force perspective and you've connected the belt, then again just loop back the anti-skate weight so that it's dangling neatly off to one side, and honestly you're ready to go. You've got to connect the power at the back. Obviously it's just over here. This the power switch will turn it on and it will glow. Tapping it will start it playing, and pushing and holding will change it between 33 and 45, and again dead easy as far as its operation. The switch is just under here, so very, very easy as far as that. So the last side of things as far as its connection is very straightforward. I would like to point out, as I'll just spin it around, and again hang around for the close-ups, this turntable is one of the new fully balanced ones, so you'll see some unique connections. In the box it has traditional RCAs, which is clearly going to be the vast majority of how people will connect it. But Pro-Ject support the range with a series of new connected E's, including ones that are fully balanced and DIN, or the mini balanced, to RCA and other configurations to ensure that whatever you're connecting the turntable to can be complemented with the appropriate accessory as well. So it's good to see that Pro-Ject have released these along with them. So there we have it. Pro-Ject's brand new X2B with a bit of setup here at the listening post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.